I'm willing to acknowledge that I probably look like somebody granny with this bandana on my forehead, but your boy is sweating and I'm tired of wiping my forehead constantly while filming videos, so I figured this is a good solution. We'll see if it works out, if it just makes me sweat like a pig more. Yeah, never mind that. But hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Saajid and today's video is going to be a video about my most anticipated releases of the year. Not all of them, but most of them, I presume. But yeah, let's just jump straight into the list. I'll be going in order of month. The first book, though, does not have a particular month. It says just 2020, so I'll just be talking about this one first. And that is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar. This is a book about a trans boy named Felix who's going through quite a lot. He wants to find love, but he's having trouble with that. And the story explores him falling in love for the very first time. But I think the main premise has to do with him experiencing some transphobia at his school. An anonymous student decides to start cyberbullying him and sends a bunch of transphobic messages to him, and I believe they end up misgendering him, or I think they end up dead naming him, so that's something that he has to deal with in the story. So I'm really looking forward to this book, particularly because I enjoyed Hurricane Child by Kaysen Calendar. Kaysen has written so many books, y'all. They have Epic Love Story, Hurricane Child, they have this like fantasy series that they're writing. They also have another middle grade book coming out next year as well. Kaysen has been writing, so I am really looking forward to that. And Kaysen is Caribbean. I believe they're from the US Virgin Islands, so I don't know if the main protagonist of this book is also Caribbean, but if he is, I would freaking love that. The next YA novel coming out next year that I'm very much looking forward to is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. Yeah, that's not a hard name. I don't know why that gave me trouble. This one comes out on February 4th, and it is about a boy named, what's his name again? Cal. Not C-A-R-L, Cal, C-A-L, Cal. So basically what happens to Cal is his dad is on NASA's first trip to Mars or something like that, so he's an astro kid, which is basically the children who are the children of the people going to Mars. And I believe they end up sending all of them to like some camp or something, and he ends up making friends with another astro kid, and they both end up in this cute little gay romance. I'm very much looking forward to this, not just because it's a queer romance between two kids who has to deal with the repercussions of their parents going to space, but I think they end up finding out some unsettling truths about the trip. I love space shit, and I love like contemporary novels that border on spacey sci-fi stuff, so I am very much excited for this one. On February 4th also we have Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. I've enjoyed both Aisha Saeed and Becky Albertalli in the past. Y'all know Written in the Stars is a very sentimental book for me, so I'm really looking forward to see how this collaborative work will look. It's a romance between a Muslim girl and a Jewish boy, which sounds really interesting. They both end up falling for each other while they have to work together going door to door to campaign for some political party or something like that. But what I'm most intrigued by is the fact that this book is set during Ramadan, and the main protagonist, the Muslim main protagonist Maya, is fasting. So I'm very interested to see how that dynamic is represented in this story. I love Ramadan, it's my favorite time of year. Ramadan is our Christmas in the Muslim community, so I'm really looking forward to see how Ramadan is represented in this story. That one also comes out on February 4th. The next book I have here is We Are Totally Normal by Rahul Kanakia. That's a pretty name, I like that name. This follows a book about a boy called Nandan who ends up going to a party with his best friend Dave, and then they end up hooking up. And it's about him kind of discovering his sexuality, because prior to that he always thought of himself as straight. I'm just really excited about this book because I find the stories of people who end up discovering that they're queer later on in their life or at a later age to be very interesting. So really looking forward to that one. It comes out on March 31st. The next book that I have here is probably my most anticipated release of the year, and that is The Henna Was by Adiba Jaigadar. I'm actually privileged enough to be receiving an ARC of this book this year, and I'm so freaking excited for that, y'all. Y'all have no freaking idea. I requested a copy from Page Street Publishing and they obliged, so thank you so much to them. I'm really looking forward to that coming to me probably sometime in the new year. This one comes out on May 12th, and it is actually set in Ireland, which is interesting because I've never read a book set in Ireland before, so I'm looking forward to that Irish setting. But I'm particularly looking forward to this story because it is about a gay Muslim girl of Bengali heritage, and she ends up starting a henna business in school because of some project competition that they have going on. But then this other girl at school named named Flavia also starts a henna business. So Nishat, the main protagonist, is really upset because not only does she have new competition, but because Flavia is of Brazilian heritage, she feels like she's culturally appropriating Nishat's culture. And on top of all of that, Nishat actually has a huge crush on Flavia, so I'm guessing this is going to be kind of like a hate to love type situation. Very, very excited for this one. The next one is Clap When You Land by my queen Elizabeth Acevedo. Elizabeth wrote The Poet X and With the Fire on High, both of which I read this year and absolutely fell in love with, so you can imagine my excitement for this third novel of hers. It's actually written in verse again, I believe, just like The Poet X. It's about two half-sisters, one from NYC and one from the Dominican Republic. They don't know each other and they don't know of each other until their father dies. The father that they share dies, and they end up discovering that they each have a half-sister, and it's about them, I guess, connecting for the first time and dealing with the grief of having lost their father and coming to terms with the fact that their father never really told them about each other. I'm excited to see where this story goes. It sounds very, very good. That one comes out on May 14th. Editing Saajid here, I realized I forgot to talk about a book. I forgot to talk about the most popular book that probably most people already have on their TBR list, that most people are probably going to read in 2020, and what's probably going to be one of the biggest releases of next year, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games, and that's all I know about it. All Goodreads says is that it's the prequel to The Hunger Games. They don't even have to sell a freaking summary because they know bitches gonna read it anyways. That's it. I mean, I'm excited to read it. I just don't have much to say, because what is there to say? It's The Hunger Games, you know? It's like Back to the Future. I mean, past Saajid. The next book that I have here also comes out in May. It comes out on May 26th, and that is Parachutes by Kelly Yang. This sounds so interesting. This is a story about a girl who is a parachute, which is a term that is used in rich family communities in Asia, where they basically drop off their kids like parachutes in the States to study. So the main protagonist, Claire, is a parachute. She comes from a very wealthy family in Shanghai, and they end up sending her to the States to live, to go to school, and she's sort of feeling a little bit displaced because of that. It doesn't help that one of the daughters in her host family, who's around the same age as her, doesn't really like her. So it's about the tension between the two of them. I also believe that it somehow deals with sexual assault or harassment or something like that, because I saw when it was announced on Twitter, people were hashtagging Me Too around it. So I'm very interested to see how that dynamic is incorporated into the story. But either way, the plot sounds very, very intriguing, and I am very much looking forward to this one. The next three books that I have to talk about all come out on June the 2nd. The first one is the one that probably intrigues me the most, and it's a fantasy novel, and you all know that I don't really read fantasy all that much, but this sounds more like contemporary with a hint of fantasy, which is why I'm including it on this list. It's called A Song Below Water, and it's about black sirens. And I'm already here for that. But it's particularly about a girl named Tavia, and she is attending a high school and nobody knows that she's a siren. I believe that people know that sirens exist in this reality, but nobody knows that she in particular is a siren, and she doesn't want anybody to find out. And then there's this high profile case where this famous fashion blogger or something ends up coming out as a siren, and I believe somebody is murdered. I don't know if it's the fashion blogger, but they said in the summary that someone is murdered, and that kind of triggers off things in the story. I can't wait to read it and see what I make of it, and see what kind of story is it? Is it more of a fantasy book? Is it more a little bit fabulous? Is it contemporary with speculative elements? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm mostly excited because the cover is freaking gorgeous. Then we have Now That I've Found You by Christina Forrest. This sounds really interesting. This is about a girl who's basically on the come up. She's becoming one of the new rising stars of the world or whatever, and her grandmother is also very, very famous. Then I believe she gets into some kind of publicity scandal, and she needs her grandmother to back her up so that she could get out of it. But her grandmother, the famous Hollywood starlet Evelyn something, ends up going missing. So she ends up going on this journey with a musician boy to try to find her grandmother in New York City. Sounds fun. Really looking forward to this one. Also comes out on June the 2nd. The next book I have here comes out on August the 25th, and this book is a follow-up to one of my favorite books, if I can find it. Darius The Great Is Not Okay, which which I loved. It came out this year, but this book is the follow-up to Darius The Great Is Not Okay, and it's called Darius The Great Deserves Better. It's about Darius in the first book here, where he ends up going to Iran to visit his mother's family for the very first time, and it's about him discovering so much about himself in this book. Now, when I read this book, I wish that I could have gotten a little bit more out of Darius, even though the story itself didn't have space for that. It was more about him discovering himself, but there were hints in the book that he is queer, and I wanted to see maybe a little bit of a relationship or a romance or something, and that obviously didn't end up happening because, again, there was no space for that. But the author is giving that to us in his second book, where Darius, I believe, is in some sort of love triangle. I don't know the context for it, and honestly, I didn't even read the summary. I don't care. I just want to see more Darius in my life, and I'm happy that it's going to be a little bit more romance-oriented. So, the last book that I have to talk about comes out all the way in November, and that is Zara Who Sign Is Not Here. Zara Who Sign, Hussein, that name is pronounced either way. It's also my last name. I pronounce it like Hussein, but Hussein is also a correct pronunciation. But either way, it's called Zara Hussein, whatever, is here by Sabina Khan. Sabina Khan is the author of The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali, which you all know is my favorite book of 2019. Did I just spoil my favorite books of the year? Y'all knew that anyways. But yeah, I am really looking forward to this one, not because it's by an author who wrote one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life, but it's also another book about a queer Muslim girl. Her name is Zara, obviously. She's a 17-year-old Pakistani immigrant, and it's about her dealing with something very Islamophobic that happens in her family or in her community, and she's reeling from that, but she's also bi, so I'm really looking forward to seeing just more queer Muslim representation and visibility and all that stuff. I'm just really excited for this book, and I'm so happy that my queen Sabina Khan is writing another story. I'm very much looking forward to this one. And yeah, those are just some of my most anticipated releases so far for 2020. I feel like I'll probably eventually end up doing another one of these sometime in the new year, because there are a lot of new releases that I'm still very excited about, but I just couldn't really fit into this video. But yeah, in the comments down below, let me know if you have any thoughts on any of these books, if you are excited to read them, if you plan on reading them, what are some of your most anticipated releases. Definitely let me know, because I am super duper excited to be reading all of the good stuff. So yeah, let me know. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.